Hey there, buttercups! Imagine a world where a single book took years to make by hand. Then Gutenberg invents the printing press, and suddenly, knowledge explodes everywhere. The printing press did not just make books faster, it opened the doors for everyone, not just the elite, to access information. Today, we are diving into 8 wild ways this invention flipped the world upside down. Before the printing press, news traveled at a snail's pace, literally by horse or messenger. Imagine waiting days, weeks, or even months just to hear about a major event in a neighboring town. If you were lucky, a messenger would arrive with a letter or a scroll, but for most people, news was a rare and precious thing, often arriving long after it was relevant. The world felt vast and disconnected, with each village and city living in its own bubble of information. Then, suddenly, everything changed. With the invention of the printing press, you could print thousands of news sheets in days, not years. This revolutionary machine transformed the way information was shared, making it possible to spread news quickly and efficiently. For the first time, ideas and stories could travel far beyond the borders of a single town or city, reaching people who had never before been connected. Suddenly, regular people, farmers, merchants, artisans, could read about events happening far away, almost as they happened. News was no longer reserved for the elite or the wealthy. It became accessible to anyone who could get their hands on a printed sheet. This was a radical shift, opening up a whole new world of awareness and curiosity. It was like Europe got added to a giant group chat. Shared news, shared reactions, shared community. People gathered in marketplaces and taverns to discuss the latest headlines, debate new ideas, and react to stories from distant lands. For the first time, communities could experience events together, even if they were miles apart. This was not just about gossip, it was crucial for business, politics, and survival. Merchants relied on printed news to track prices and trade routes. Politicians used it to sway public opinion, and ordinary people depended on it to stay informed about dangers or opportunities. The printed word became a powerful tool, shaping decisions and changing lives. The printing press created the first global news network, shrinking the world with every printed page. News could now leap across borders and oceans, connecting people in ways that had never been possible before. The flow of information became faster, more reliable, and more democratic. It was the start of our connected society, a world where information could unite people, spark revolutions, and lay the foundation for the global networks we rely on today. The Renaissance was a cultural explosion, a time when creativity, curiosity, and innovation seemed to ignite all at once. In cities like Florence, Venice, and Rome, artists, scientists, and philosophers gathered to share ideas, debate, and push the boundaries of what was possible. Streets buzzed with excitement as new discoveries and masterpieces emerged almost daily, and the air was thick with the promise of change. But before the invention of print, this incredible energy was mostly confined to a handful of wealthy cities and elite circles. Only the privileged few, nobles, scholars, and patrons, had access to the latest works and revolutionary ideas. Knowledge traveled slowly, passed from hand to hand, often copied by scribes in dimly lit rooms, making it rare and expensive. Then everything changed. The printing press blasted those ideas across Europe. Art, philosophy, science, and literature all began spreading like wildfire. Suddenly, books could be produced in the hundreds, then thousands, making it possible for people far beyond the original centers of the Renaissance to access the latest thinking and creative breakthroughs. For the first time, a student in Paris could read the same texts as a scholar in Florence, and a merchant in London could learn from the discoveries of a mathematician in Milan. The walls that had kept knowledge locked away began to crumble, and learning became a shared experience across borders. Artists and thinkers everywhere could build on each other's work, accelerating progress in ways never before possible. Collaboration flourished, and new ideas sparked even more innovation, as people from different backgrounds and regions contributed their unique perspectives. The Renaissance went from a local trend to a continent-wide movement, all thanks to the power of print. Books, pamphlets, and illustrations traveled faster than ever, connecting people and ideas across vast distances. It democratized genius, making revolutionary ideas accessible to everyone, not just the elite, but ordinary people too. The printing press didn't just spread information, it sparked a new era of possibility, forever changing the course of history. Enter Martin Luther. a monk with big opinions about the Catholic Church. In the early 1500s, Luther was not just another face in the crowd. He was a scholar, a thinker, and someone who was not afraid to challenge the status quo. He saw corruption and excess in the church, and he believed it was time for a change. But how do you get your message out when the most powerful institution in Europe wants to keep things quiet? He writes his 95 Theses, a list of arguments and questions challenging church practices, and thanks to the revolutionary new technology of the printing press, his ideas go viral, fast. What once would have been a local dispute suddenly became a continent-wide conversation. Suddenly, people across Europe are reading his critiques in their own language, not just Latin. For the first time, ordinary people could access these radical ideas directly, sparking debates in homes, taverns, and marketplaces. Luther's writings become bestsellers, shaking the foundations of the church. Church officials scramble to respond, but the genie is out of the bottle. The more they try to suppress his message, the more curious people become. The press gave him a direct line to the public, bypassing traditional gatekeepers. Suddenly, anyone with access to a pamphlet could join the conversation, and Luther's words spread like wildfire. The Protestant Reformation was not just a religious movement, it was a print-fueled revolution. The printing press turned ideas into action, and action into history. It connected distant towns and cities, uniting people under a common cause. Luther's fame and influence were inseparable from the technology that spread his message. Without the press, his words might have faded into obscurity. With it, he became a household name, a symbol of change and defiance. One man's words, multiplied by print, changed history. The story of Martin Luther is a reminder that sometimes the right message at the right time, amplified by the right technology, can reshape the world forever. Imagine being a scientist before print. Your discoveries stuck in a notebook, maybe lost forever. The printing press changed everything. Scientists could now share findings instantly across Europe. Knowledge became standardized. No more errors from hand copying. Scientists could build on each other's work, debate, and refine ideas in public. The result? The scientific revolution, powered by collaboration and rapid information sharing. Progress went from isolated and slow to collective and fast. The printing press made modern science possible. Before print, fringe thinkers and radicals were easily silenced. The printing press was like the first indie podcast. Anyone could publish, even if their ideas were controversial. Outsiders, early feminists, radical theorists, mystics, finally had a platform. Sure, it was risky, but forbidden books found ways to circulate. The press created a space for dissent, challenging the status quo. Progress often comes from the fringe, and print made sure those voices could be heard. It kept the conversation open and society evolving. As critical and alternative opinions entered the public discourse, those in power tried to censor it. Before the printing press, censorship was easy. All it required was killing the heretic and burning his or her handful of notebooks. However, after the printing press, it became nearly impossible to destroy all copies of a dangerous idea. And the more dangerous a book was claimed to be, the more the people wanted to read it. Every time the church published a list of banned books, the booksellers knew exactly what they should print next. The press did not just spread ideas, it organized people. Pamphlets and manifestos rallied supporters, turning scattered complaints into full-blown movements. During the Enlightenment era, philosophers like John Locke, Voltaire, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau were widely read among an increasingly literate populace. Their elevation of critical reasoning above custom and tradition encouraged people to question religious and the ruling class's authority and prize personal liberty. Think of the American and French revolutions. Print was at their core. Thomas Paine's common sense fired up colonists for independence. The press created a public sphere where ideas could be debated and rulers held accountable. It turned local grievances into national causes and ideas into action. The printing press did not just report on revolutions, it helped make them happen. Every innovation has a downside, and for the printing press, it was the scribes. These skilled artisans spent years copying books by hand until print made their jobs obsolete overnight. Why pay for one handwritten book when you could get hundreds of printed ones? Some scribes adapted, but many lost their livelihoods. It is a tough reminder. Progress often leaves some people behind. The story of the scribes is the first chapter in the long history of automation and job loss. On the flip side, the huge demand for printed materials spawned the creation of an entirely new industry of printers, brick-and-mortar booksellers, and enterprising street peddlers. Among those who got his start as a printer's apprentice was future US founding father, Benjamin Franklin. The printing press didn't just speed things up, it changed the very pace of civilization. Ideas could now spread exponentially, not just linearly. More books meant more readers, more thinkers, and more innovation. This feedback loop fueled advances in every field: science, art, law, commerce, exploration. The world became a place of constant learning and rapid change. The printing press laid the foundation for the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and our modern world. It is the invention that made all other modern progress possible. So one clunky metal machine set the stage for everything. Books, news, revolutions, even the internet. The printing press connected people to ideas and to each other, just like we do now. We are still sharing, still connecting, just with different technology. Thanks for hanging out and thinking about how one invention changed the world.
Thank you for watching. Hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. We do like to know and hear your feedback. And if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get early access to our videos and where we post bonus material. Till next time, this is Geeky Tidbits saying cheers and have a good day.